swords. We know they spark. Now, the people in Europe over here went on something called the Crusades. Do you know what that is? Okay? Around the year 1000 or so, they started this idea that they had to go and retake the Holy Land, which is where we're fighting today. Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, Syria. You've heard of those places, right?
Yeah.
You can see it over here. It's in this area. Okay? And they were coming from over here. So they went to the Middle East and tried to take it back because they thought it was theirs. It belonged to them. Okay? And they did pretty good at it. They went over there in the Middle East because these guys had armor. They'd been fighting for years. They weren't educated. So all they did, they were warriors. They fought. They killed people. They were kind of brutish and angry. Okay? They go to the Middle East, and these people were some of the most educated people in the world at this time. They had universities. You think about it, you imagine a university back in like 1000, 1100. Okay? They had universities. They had learning. They had astronomy. Okay? They had all these fancy things that the Europeans had lost. Okay? So Jody's going to be our Middle Easterner.
Hello.
Our guys, I'm going to be the Europeans. Okay? And I'm all angry. And we go all the way over here. We sail over there. We go to their cities, down into here. And what do? We try to take them over. Now, he hasn't been fighting for years and years and years. There's been a lot of peace there. It's in a place where they just focus on learning and making nice and doing good things. Okay? Building fancy cities with fountains. Now, I come up to the wall with my army of guys, and I'm like, ah! What do you think he does? He sees me. I came from a cold area. It's nice and cold. I'm going in the desert with all my heavy armor and my heavy weapons and my big horses. I look pretty hot and sweaty and gross after traveling for like 6 months, right? Right? You look pretty gross after being outside for like 6 minutes here in Florida, yeah? So in the desert, it's like 105 degrees. Anyone ever been to Las Vegas? Few you have? Okay. It's hot there, right? Okay. So, he's our Middle Easterner. What does he say?
You guys want some water?
We're like...
Oh, okay, yeah.
He opens the gates.
Here's some water.
And lets us in to have some water. Okay? What do? Sucker. Now, you don't think, because you're educated and peaceful, you don't think anyone's going to attack you, especially a bunch of crazy white guys who came out of the desert, right? Now, so we come up there. Now, here's the other thing, though, because the next city, a couple people escaped. The Europeans take over the city, burn it, kill people, and conquer the city. But a few people escape, go up to the next city.
There's a bunch of crazy white guys coming! Run!
Now, see, you're at a university party, you're educated, would you believe them? No. This is like someone, you're all fancy and you're like a professor and you're all educated and some guy tells you this. Now, by the time you see them coming and you realize he wasn't lying, it's too late, right? You might have time to get your troops in the city together, but you can't win because we outnumber you 20 to 1. Scary. So it takes a long time. This goes on because they didn't have phones and radios and internet to spread the word ahead, right?
Too bad.
Yeah, by the time the messenger got there, it's too late. So we took over, the European member of my side took over, huge chunk of that area before the Middle Easterners started fighting back and pushing him out.
Because they couldn't Twitter.
Right. So that was not till 1200, you know. I'm just kidding. Okay, so when they fought, this is what they fought with. Now, here's the problem, though. The Europeans had a disadvantage because they didn't grow up in the heat, right? They had those big horses. Big horses don't run well in sand, especially when you're carrying a guy who's wearing 90 pounds of armor. I'm not doing too well in the heat either. And this guy has light armor. He's used to the heat. He grew up there. Okay? He's got a sword that's meant for the desert and for fighting on horseback and for being light and maneuverable. Okay? His horses are tiny. They run really fast. And they're good in the sand, or they ride camels even. Okay? So, how do you think I do against one-on-one against him? Who thinks the Europeans could win? Okay? Who thinks he has the advantage? You guys are smart. Watch his sword. Watch how fast this is going to go. Big old scary European sword, right? But I'm hot, I'm exhausted, and I'm up against him in the sand. What do? Here's how the fight goes. Ready? Whoops. What just happened there? Let's watch it again. Watch it again. I don't last very long. In fact, these guys would often kill 3 or 4 Europeans for every one that they lost. But, how many did the Europeans have? 20 to 1. So even if they take out 3 or 4 of you, you still win, don't you? The Europeans won by surprise, because they didn't expect them. and they won by numbers. Okay? So when the Middle Easterners started to fight back, though, it was pretty scary because when they had organized armies, so the Europeans kind of lived there for 50 or 100 years before they could fight back in some places. They said, that's a pretty awesome weapon. Look how fast that is compared to this thing. 4 pounds, 8 pounds. Okay? Curved and nice, big and heavy. Okay? We didn't want to copy them completely and make a curved one, but the Europeans said, we need to make our swords lighter. So this is what they did. It's lighter, but it's also longer. So what do you think they called this sword? The long sword. Yes, whoever said that, very clever. You're creative just like the Europeans. It is a long sword. Okay? Let's try this when Stabby steps back. Okay. This thing is now the same weight as his sword. Okay? And I've got better reach. Okay? I still have my heavy, scary armor, though. So who do you think has the advantage now? Who thinks it's the Middle Eastern guy? Who thinks it's the European guy? European. Okay? Let's try it. Feels like the World Cup. Uh-oh. I have a little bit better chance, don't I? But I still don't win because his is still faster and he's still used to fighting in the desert. So, but it was better. Instead of killing 3 or 4, he might kill 2. Okay? So this was better, although the Europeans got beat down over time. And they said, you know what, we need to fix this. But they weren't stupid on the Middle East, were they? They said, we need to get better weapons too. So they developed a better weapon first. Okay? So, this.
Whoa.
Yeah, I have that in my claws.
Now, we're going to put that, he's going to put that back at his hip, and we're going to watch what that does. Okay? Just a second. When we fight, okay, go ahead, watch this. We're fighting, like we did before. I lock up his sword and push him down. Look what he does to me.
Bye-bye, buddy.
That's pretty scary because this thing can actually punch through steel armor like this.
If you take a look, it goes right down my arm.
Who's
All
seen-
the power of my arm goes right down to this little tip.
Who's seen Wolverine on the X-Men? Kind of like how they come out of his arm, right? The blades. Same thing here, except he's just holding it in his hand. It makes his entire arm and fist into a giant punching dagger. Okay? We're not going to hit this hard because it tends to punch through, but what he would do is come up and hit, and all that force goes into the tiny little tip of the blade. Okay? And if that's your body or armor, there's a little souvenir for you. It just punches right through. And he could punch through plate steel if he hit me as hard as he could. Okay? So he developed that. The Europeans developed something else. They said, man, we need a lighter weapon. Still. So they took the long sword and made it a short sword. You guys are very creative. All right. So this is like 2 pounds, but the Europeans weren't the only ones. Middle Easterners took that, the scimitar, and made this. What is that?
Samurai sword.
Not a samurai sword.
Ninja.
It's called what, Jody?
This is a scimitar!
Still a scimitar. Yay.
Same name.
It's just thinner. It's like a better evolution, kind of like Pokemon evolves, but in a sword. Okay? Now, who do you think's going to win at this point? His is 2 pounds. Mine's 2 pounds. Mine's shorter. He's got the reach on me and the curve, but I don't know. I've been fighting here for a while. What do you think? Okay, let's see. You ready?
Ready?
Oh. Eventually, the Europeans lost. Okay? But it was much more even. Now, they didn't have that Qatar, that pointy dagger. That was kind of the equalizer. Now, Tabby's got this for you. Look at this stuff. What is this called, guys?
Chainmail.
Chainmail. Okay, chainmail is like cloth made out of metal. Okay? It is heavy. This is a shirt without sleeves. Okay? It weighs 30 pounds, which is like your backpack full of books at school. Okay? No sleeves. And they would wear this. They would wear leggings made out of it. They would wear greaves like this or like this metal ones. They would wear metal gauntlets that we'll show you in a second. A helmet. Then over the chainmail, they would wear this. Okay? And then underneath it, see this padded stuff he has here? They would wear this padded stuff almost like your grandma's quilt. Okay? Stuffed with wool to protect against the force. I can't cut it, but the force still hurts, right? Okay? Kind of like a baseball bat. Now, look at this thing. Chainmail stops cutting. Chainmail doesn't do so well against stabby. Okay? It stops the blade from going through, but look what it does. So all the force of the blade keeps going, even if the pointy end doesn't. So that's why you need the quilting underneath to absorb that, because, yay, she doesn't get stabbed by the blade, but the force goes, blah, all the way through her. Okay? So, anyone ever seen someone on TV get blown over by an explosion?
Yeah.
Nothing actually hits them, right? Just the force. Same thing. Just the force. Now, who wants to try to put on a shirt of chainmail? Wow, a couple volunteers. Hey, Molly, want to pick somebody?